Welcome to the Goat Sessions, everybody. I haven't done an episode like this in a while. About a month and a half, I'd say. No big announcements for the channel. I'm still going to do gaming videos and videos like this, so just keep going with it. I've been back from a little break because I got some good news for personal developments in my life. I'll just leave it at that. Very, very good news. Besides that, my body is killing me. I worked out today and it's, oh my gosh, suffering. My arms are suffering, bro. Besides that, I thought I'd start a little series on a book. And it's a good book. It's short. It's not long. In fact, y'all can buy it. It's on Amazon. And it's called On the Shortness of Life by Lucius Seneca. And this is the contemporary reader edition, which is still good. I personally like the older edition. I have that as a PDF on my computer, and I read that every now and then. But the older edition definitely has a lot of more nuggets, and the vernacular used back then, the older edition, I feel suits it better because there's a lot of more hidden meanings within that. Excuse me. And it's very descriptive because of that. Whereas this one, as it says, is for the contemporary reader. If you're not really into books, this is good. This is amazing. You really don't need like an insane translation of it. This is as simple as it gets, and it's very, very well written in my opinion. Every now and then, commas are like not there. So some sentences you just kind of have to say in your head one or two times, and you're like, oh, okay, that's how you phrase it. But aside from that, from a literary standpoint, this is written decently. It's a solid 7 out of 10. And the book itself, like in the original and the new translation, solid 9 out of 10 book. Solid. So, On the Shortness of Life is On the Shortness of Life. That's what it's about. And it's people in the ancient Roman times, as comparative as today, moaning and groaning about why life is so short. And so Seneca reviews that and then offers some insight on how really it isn't short. And it's really mostly our perspective and what we do with our lives that makes it short. So I'll read the first chapter for today and then I'll let you guys have some food for thought. By the way, this is on Amazon for like $7 to $10. That's what I got it for. Starting up my library. Let's go. It's trying to stay educated out here in the world of 7-second attention span TikTok. Oh my god. It is terrifying, bro. These kids are screwed. But I digress. So we start here. My body hurts. Even when I take a breath, it hurts. I overworked today for sure. Okay. I'll stop. I'll get into it. I'm just looking at myself in the camera. I look so nice. Okay. The majority of people complain bitterly that nature is cruel, that we exist for a brief span, because this time that has been granted to us rushes by so fast and so swiftly that all but a very few find what it is to live. Not only is it the ordinary people, or those who don't think, that moan about what it is. I'll read that again. Not only is it the ordinary people, or those who don't think, that moan about what is, as most deem it, a universal ill, but the same feeling has also called forth complaint from those who are famous. It was this that made the greatest of physicians of all time exclaim that, quote, life is short, art is long, end quote. It was this that led Aristotle, that's the physician, while expressing disapproval with nature, condemning it to such an extent that it seemed quite unusual for such a wise man, that, in point of age, life has shown more favor to animals, that they drag out 5 or 10 lifetimes, but that a much shorter limit has been given for man, though he is born for so many and such great achievements. It is not that we have such a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. Remember that. Life is long enough, and it has been given in sufficiently generous quantity to allow the accomplishment of the very greatest things, if the whole of it is well invested. But when it is squandered in luxury and carelessness, when it is devoted to no good end, forced at last by the ultimate necessity towards the end, we perceive that it has passed away before we were aware that it was passing. So it is that the life we receive is not short, but we make it so, and there is no lack of it, but we are wasteful of it. Just as great and princely wealth is scattered in a moment when it comes into the hands of a reckless owner, while wealth, however limited, if it is entrusted to a good guardian, increases by use, so our life is amply long for the person who uses it wisely. Now, I want you to understand the context here. For the first thought, that's essentially like a thought that the writer, that Seneca had, and just that's gonna be the first mini chapter. There's 20, by the way, in the book. This is the first one. And the first entry is that. That's astounding for back then, considering that I think he wrote. I don't know if it was this book, but he wrote it on the second floor of above a gymnasium where there was a bunch of noise in the streets of Rome, people chattering, and just cataclysmic noise, which I don't know how he was able to write something so profound in that environment. This goes to show how resilient the human mind is. And also with the fact that people, because he was in government, I'm pretty sure, people wanted to kill him too. So he also had that going for him as he's writing this book. He doesn't know when he's going to die. And he's still saying on the stillness of life. On the shortness of life. Life is still, though. That's more like a Chinese proverb. On the stillness of life. That's actually cool. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, life is still short, regardless. Interesting. But if we go into the first chapter a little bit. So immediately he points out, the majority of people complain bitterly that nature is cruel, that we exist for a brief span, because this time that has been granted to us rushes by so fast and so swiftly that all but a very few find what it is to live. From anyone's perspective, that could be true, where it's like life has just been passing me by. But the thing is, it's always been passing by at the same rate. You feel as if it's rushing sometimes and dragging other times. It depends on what you're doing with that time. That's all that it is. Not only is it the ordinary people or those who don't think that moan about what it is, meaning not only is it just regular Joe Schmoes or people who don't have a mind, who are just dumb, I mean dumb, like they don't take time to things, they just moan about what time is, what a lack of time is, as most deem it a universal ill. Life. A lack of time in life, a universal ill. But the same feeling has also called forth complaint from those who are famous. Oddly enough, it's the same thing in our times, with a lot of celebrities and stuff who have a lot of regrets that they want more. They want more of their life to live so they can accomplish great things when this is all we have. So even back then, the famous said the same thing. I find that very interesting that the famous said that. It was this that made the greatest of physicians of all time. The example is Aristotle here. This is the famous. Life is short, art is long, which is true because art stands the test of time. Art never dies. We die. Life by definition dies. But art never dies. Art is forever living. So it was this that led Aristotle, while expressing disapproval with nature, condemning it to such an extent that it seemed quite unusual for such a wise man that in point of age, life has shown more favor to animals, that they drag out 5 or 10 lifetimes, but that a much shorter limit has been given for man, though he is born for so many such great achievements. So Aristotle, who is such a wise person, even by many of his colleagues and scholars of that time, it was very unusual for such a wise man to condemn life, condemn the shortness of life, and condemn life in the sense that it has shown so much, at least in the point of, like it says, in point of age, that it has shown more favor to animals, because some animals can live up to 5 or 10 human lifetimes. What's a good one? Just something that extends past regular human lifetime. It could be like a giant turtle, like the one on the Galapagos Islands. Those turtles lived like 100, 200 something. I don't know the exact median age, but it's longer than a human for sure. It's astounding. There are a lot of animals that just live for a very long time, way past human age, like median human age, whether that be 70 something in males or 80 something in females. It surpasses that at least twofold, at least 1.5 fold. A lot of animals like that. So then you think about it, it's like, but why do they have an increased lifespan, but we don't, even though we have the capability to pursue, become, and accomplish these amazing goals and dreams and what have you, these feats unbeknownst to anyone in history. Why are we given the shorter lifespan? Ultimately, that becomes a religious debate at the end of the day, but because then you'd have to question, well, who gave you the lifespan? And then I know the evolutionists are going to combat the religious folks on that, so that's going to transcend into another debate. But that's interesting. Why do animals live longer than us, even though we're the ones with... See, here it goes. We're the ones with supposed more value than animals, which I do believe we do have. I feel like we have more value than animals. That doesn't mean we have to kill all the animals, because we need them to survive. It's not that they don't have any value. But we do have a lot of value. We do. If we're talking about the creation of civilizations, I think that's a pretty damn big value. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. But it is not that we have... And then he says the very famous line that you'll hear. Anyone who reads Seneca will quote. It is not that we have a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. Because even though whatever God or whatever process allowed these animals to live such long and dragged out lives, and even though it doesn't happen for us quite the same, we don't live as long, we are given a life. And so when people say that life feels so short, it's, to be honest, everyone wastes time. I'm doing it, you're doing it right now, everyone is. I don't want to say watching this video is a waste of time, but if you're not interested, it is a waste of time. So go hop off and do something. Like, this is your call. Like, I'm talking to you in the camera right now. If you're not interested in this and you're not really feeling this, then go. No amount of me persuading you for likes and subscriptions could ever matter. People are going to always beg, and that's another thing. The likes and subscriptions on the internet is essentially a ploy of, yeah, take your time and put it into mine so that you benefit me. Which is okay if you want to do that. If there's a mutual beneficial, like I am enjoying this entertainment, so I'm going to keep watching it, that's fine. But if it's not reciprocal, we have a problem. Because then you're wasting time. And that's the one thing you can't get back. You can get back money. You can get back women. You can get back assets like furniture, housing. You can always get that. It takes time. You can always get that back. But it doesn't take time to get back time. That'll never happen. It's impossible. So then he said, life is long enough and it has been given in sufficiently generous quantity to allow the accomplishment of the very greatest things if the whole of it is well invested. We have child prodigies now. And then you may say, well, they were trained by their parents. Yeah, it's still part of their lives. Whoever's part of your lives, if they invest in you, make sure to use that time wisely. because then you'll just become unstoppable. Not literally, but definitely near that. Think about like these people who are in their 20s or 30s and they've already mastered some sort of art or trade or whatever it may be. And they have a business or they have a really great job and it's stable and they could work that job for the rest of their life and they wouldn't even matter. They have things to do on the side. They're living their best life. That's where it comes from. And sure, they may have a vacation here or there. But as long as they're enjoying life and not moaning about it, they're not wasting time. And that's one of the biggest things that people complain about life, on the shortness of life. Not the book, but on the term of the shortness of life. Is that you're only really wasting time if you're moaning about it. If you feel like something's off, you know you wasted time. If you feel happy and you know you're happy, and you know it isn't in vain, and it's objectively good for you, whatever you're doing, and it's bettering your future, not only is it living your best life, because now what that means today is just living in vanity today. Back then it used to mean your best. Now what it really means is not only living your best life, but living your best life so that you in the future could live an even better life. People who know you can live an even better life. You pay it forward. So that's an interesting premise that Seneca has laid out here. But when it is squandered in luxury and carelessness, when it is devoted to no good end, forced at last by the ultimate necessity towards the end, we perceive that it has passed away before we were aware that it was passing. If you waste your life and you waste your time and you devote it to the absolutely most vain things that aren't going to mean a thing in the coming years, the coming days, months, weeks, whatever it may be, if you devote yourself to that, to something that's going to give no value to your life and others, then you will eventually come to a point, another classic Seneca quote, we perceive that it, meaning life, has passed away before we were aware that it was passing. And of course, you're still alive. That's the thing. It's the key word's perceive. You're still alive, so you're not dead. But you feel like your life is dead. Your track of life has died. Once you realize all the horrible, scummy things and mindless debauchery you have taken part in and consumed like a glutton, once you've realized in the aftermath, you perceive that your life has ended before you were ever aware that it was dying. And woe is the man who realizes that. I hope that no one feels that, because it is a different type of pain. You know, people today complain of loneliness, like they don't have a girlfriend, or they complain that there's just so much stress in their lives. I can tell you the worst thing probably to ever feel in life is not the simply washed up mentality, but the fact that you deliberately did things that contributed nothing really important to your life. And you've come to the realization later, and I mean way later in life, we're not talking about a few years, we're talking about decades. And you realize that it meant nothing. It contributed to nothing. It was no good. That is the worst pain probably anyone will ever feel. Because it's even worse than the pain of loss. Because you didn't even know what you were losing. It's one thing to lose something and know that you lost it. It's another thing to lose something you didn't even know. You had no clue. You lost your sight and you were already blind. And you thought you could see. I mean, it's pitiful. It's pitiful. Don't end up like that person. Make the change today. So it is that the life we receive is not short, but we make it so, and there is no lack of it. but we are wasteful of it. Whatever you're going to have an allotted time of life. It's not fixed. I don't believe that it's fixed. You can live however long is possible. Whatever is biologically possible, of course. You know, your genes do have a say and your environment does have a say. But the rest is up to you. The rest is up to that free will that you have to live a damn good life. And if you don't, you're going to damn sure die. And you're going to die quick. And don't die under the circumstances that you could have done more. Either you're content with what you've done, or you want to make yourself better. You want to better your situation, your life. That's it. There's nothing wrong with being content if you've already done the hard work. There's nothing wrong with being bettered if you feel like it's not good enough. Healthily speaking, it's not good enough. Not overworking yourself. There's no need to kill yourself over that. There's no need to break your own back over that. And there's no lack of life. Whatever, and I love it. The life that we receive, because we're given this life. We don't take this life. We didn't earn it. We're here. We're born. The life that we have, that's it, man. There's no lack thereof. There's no excess of it. It's life because it's uncertain. You don't know if life is x plus 1 or x minus 1. It's just x. That's the equation. It's the variable itself. And it is variable in, like the word even says, it's variable. It could be anything. But it can't be anything plus 1 or plus or minus 1. That's it. So live it well. Contribute to your environment in a positive manner. And your own life as well. This is our only chance, guys, as far as we know. This life is it. To continue, just as great and princely wealth is scattered in a moment when it comes into the hands of a reckless owner, while wealth, however limited, I'll touch on that, if it is entrusted to a good guardian, increases by use. So our life is amply long for the person who uses it wisely. Final point here is that Seneca says, great and princely wealth, scattered in a moment when it comes to the hands of a reckless owner. We all are owners, some more than others. We all own something in our lives. We all own something, you know. The religious perspective of that is kind of the opposite, where we don't own anything, but all is given us unto us by God, or something of the sort. But in the sense of this, let's take this how it is, for the hypothetical, if you don't believe that. When it comes to the hands of a reckless owner, you meaning your reckless life, because whatever you own, it leaves instantly, and it's not even leaves, it's scattered. It breaks into pieces. It's not even whole again. You can't bring it back together. That's what it's implying. So as just as great and princely wealth, and we're talking about riches, billions of dollars, things that are worth billions of dollars, like a loving wife, a loving husband, I don't know, the perfect job, perfect house, social groups. Those are worth way more than money. That's princely wealth, in my opinion. Don't even think about the money. But he's using money as an example. You give it to someone who's reckless, who you give all these trials and tribulations and schedules, like, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to study. You give all that discipline to someone who is reckless, it scatters. It's very hard to bring those pieces back together. And so, then he says, while wealth, however limited, it doesn't even matter how much wealth, because obviously wealth is not infinite. There is a cap on it. While wealth, however limited, it could be a penny. You entrust it to someone who doesn't know how to use money, that penny is gone. The penny is gone. It's been put to bad use. Better that person not even save the penny, but put it to good use. If he's going to use it, better to use it in a good manner than to store it, and even worse, to spend it in a bad manner. That also deals with another biblical principle. But let me see. While wealth, however limited, if it is entrusted to a good guardian, so reckless owner of a house, to and fro, unabated in his idiocy, this person, the reckless owner, as opposed to the good guardian who shelters, right? Who protects not even, and when I say shelters, I don't mean save what you have. There's a good man knows how to distribute his time and flourishes in it. He uses it. He doesn't save it in a sense. If we saved our time, it would be nothing. We use our time wisely. That's where it comes from. We don't save our time wisely. That's not the saying. So a good guardian, in a sense, protects not the accumulation of wealth, but it protects the use of wealth. Because you don't want to use it in a bad way. So he protects the integrity of that wealth. There it is. That's the word I'm looking for. He protects the integrity and safekeeping of that wealth, so that it doesn't get to the wrong hands or doesn't fall under the wrong ideas to use it. That's just how I see it when I first read this. And then he says, increases by use. So our life is amply long, like to be amply long. It's good enough. It's long enough for the person who uses it wisely. And that is why I said at the beginning, to close this off, the model person who uses their time wisely in life, who does not complain about how short, how long life is, even though this is about shortness, but irrespectively of whether life is long or short, the model person believes that his life is amply long. In other words, his life is long enough. It doesn't need to be shorter. It doesn't need to be longer. If you believe you are making the right decisions, and you see the fruit of that, you see and you witness the shockwave from that, the effects it has on yourself and others and the environment around you, then you don't need to complain about life. You shouldn't be. Because life is long enough. Be content. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. And even don't worry about today. Use your time wisely and you don't have to worry. Right? There will be times when there will be curveballs in life. But curveballs occur in time, like all things. If we use our time rightly to swerve the bat at the right angle and hit that ball, send it right back to the pitcher. And even if we miss, there's always another play. There's always things you could do to save up on time. It's all about time at the end of the day. So, I'll leave it with that. For the person who uses their time wisely and who believes of this nature, that is a good guardian who secures his wealth in the form of life and his decisions in life that are costly, both good and bad. If you secure them in a positive manner and you transform your life by participating in honest to good things, you don't have to worry about it, whether life is short. You don't have to worry about that because it should be long enough. That's my final point. I don't want to drag it out. But thank you guys for watching today. That was just the first note, the first little entry. They're always about 2 or 3 pages long, some of them 4. But this is good. It's gonna be a lot about time. This book covers time extensively, so be ready for that. But for the first one, to summarize it for people who are even made it this far, it is not that we have a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. So therefore, the life we receive is not short, but we make it so. And there is no lack of it, but we are wasteful of it. Therefore, if your time is entrusted to a good guardian, hopefully you, it increases by use. You actually save up time by using your time wisely. Think about that. So our life is amply long for the person who uses it wisely. Have a great day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode. I don't even know what number this is, but we'll keep the train going. Besides that, I think I'm good. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.